over at the Icon Store. In today's video, we're going to be checking out the newly released Toyworld movie series, Red Baron, also known as a World War I representation of Starscream / Blitzwing. Now, if you are looking to add this figure to your collection, I do believe that at the time of this recording, the red variant is unfortunately out of stock, although I do know they have stock of both the blue and the black version, and there is also a triple pack where you can pick up all three, the red, black and blue version. So for that, of course, I shall include all the links down in the description box below, and also be sure to use that discount code Prime vs Prime in order to get a discount off of your total order. So far, I have been thoroughly impressed with pretty much all of these World War I / World War II figures by Toyworld, and Starscream here is no exception. He may actually be my favourite out of the entire line so far, and honestly, Bulldog and Barricade were superb, so this guy definitely is something special. Now, before we take a look at him in his plain mode, we shall very quickly go through the accessories, and the largest of which is actually this super awesome, I believe, World War I machine gun. It looks terrific, and the paintwork, as mentioned in all of my previous Toyworld reviews, looks absolutely sensational. You honestly wouldn't believe that this is in fact a complete plastic piece. They have done such a superb job. It's got all of that dirt and all of the grime that you would expect from a weapon of World War I. You can see all of the ammo here attached to this clip, and we also do get a flap here where you can install the character's hand, which I shall showcase later on in the review. We also do get a Blitzwing head sculpt, as you can swap out the Starscream head for this head, and you can see the detail and the sculpt work looks absolutely fantastic, especially that red paint here on the side of the helmet and here where this almost breathing apparatus is. We also do get a face mask. Now, this is mainly actually designed for Starscream, and I'll demonstrate that too later on in the review, but you can see some fantastic looking sculpt work. And finally, we do get an interchangeable pair of hands. Now, personally, I do find these to be slightly redundant, as the figure does already come with articulated fingers. The only major difference is that these ones here do have the port on the back, I imagine so that you can attach some of the additional machine guns to them in bot mode, but nevertheless, they still have been detailed and sculpted really well. And we also do get a display base, which is completely made out of an entire die-cast component. Now, personally, I do wish that perhaps this was just merely plastic, as I do find these die-cast pieces to bump up the price ever so slightly. However, the actual figure himself is fairly heavy, so I can understand as to why they would want quite a stable support structure here at the bottom, as of course you don't want this figure toppling over and actually breaking. And just to demonstrate how it does in fact install onto the figure, you can see two slots here on the underside that do merely peg here into these two prongs. But taking a look here at Starscream in his amazing looking World War I fighter plane, honestly, this has turned out so well. I continue to be impressed every single time with what Toyworld are putting out here for their movie series. This guy looks absolutely incredible, not only as far as a robot mode is concerned, but the alternate mode. It honestly does not look as if though it can transform. They've done such a superb job, and it's not even down to the actual fact of how the sculpt work has turned out. It has also got to do with that astonishing paintwork. You can see scattered all the way throughout the figure is some really authentic plain detailing, as well as some amazing paint washing, really giving you the impression that this has been through the war. As we turn our attention here from a bird's eye perspective, you can see that we've got a really awesome Starscream quote: "Conquest is made out of the ashes of one's enemies," and I just think that perfectly captures the character. You can also see the cockpit of where the pilot would of course be housed, and we have the two machine guns here at the front, which can actually be attached here onto the side of the wings if you so desire. You can see here some amazing looking wash here applied to the actual wheels, and the propeller as well has got a super awesome wooden effect applied to it, which is all down to the paint. There is in fact no sculpt work to this at all, so the paint once again is truly a prime example of how awesome some of these Toyworld products do in fact look. And you can once again see that amazing looking paintwork here towards the front. It just looks like such an authentic model of what a World War I fighter plane would look like. They've done such a superb job, and the wheels do in fact roll as well along the ground. It is merely just these front two, but you can prop it up here utilizing this section here at the back. So really awesome looking jet. I cannot fault this at all. They've done such a sublime job. And even as we turn here to the underside, quite honestly, there's no evident robot mode kibble. Of course, we do get some of the robot mode color scheme, which is slightly contrasted by the main red color scheme that we get here in the plain mode, but I actually think that it works really well, and you can see some exceptional looking sculpt work on the underside. So really, they have done such a good job. You can see the triple wings that we have here all held together by these struts. Some of the components are in fact die cast, which also appears to be a running theme of Toyworld products. They always appear to introduce some die-cast materials, just giving it that premium feel, and I think that Starscream is no exception at all. Such a fantastic looking jet. Now, much like Barricade, Starscream is in fact a lot more simplistic to transform than when compared to the likes of Knight Orion or even their Tactics waistcoat Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime. So to begin with, I would recommend coming here to this section and just detaching this strut, we can then fold this up and of course repeat the same process here on this side. So just collapse that. We can then take this section and just split this and then fold all of this in upon itself just like so in order to compress that top wing. We can then take the machine guns and just wriggle these here out of these tiny little ports and just set them there off to the side. You'll want to repeat basically the same process here on this side. So detach that, fold this section down, and of course repeat the same process here on this side. You'll then want to take the front propeller, pull this section forward, and if I did fail to mention it, in the actual plane segment, this entire region here is able to spin really well, once again just adding not only to that play factor but also to that realistic authenticity. Just move these sections here out to the sides and pull this section here all the way down to the back. What you'll then want to do is take this section and lower this entire region down. We can then turn our attention to the side, and you're just going to want to lift this panel up until it does detach via these two slots and those two tabs, which will then allow you to bring this entire region here down just like so. We can then take these here, just fold them there to the back to allow for some additional clearance. What I would then recommend doing would be to actually split this entire section here just like this. And now I would then recommend to pull this entire section down, take these wheels and just fold them here out to the sides, which will then allow us to split the legs and compress all of that like so, rotating these around so that we have something which looks along the lines of this. So moving the camera up so that we can begin work on the upper torso, I would recommend taking this section here, pulling this entire region forwards, which will then allow you to take these panels here and just hinge them out to the sides in order to allow for some additional clearance. We can then take this region, split this, as it will in fact become the chest as well as the arms for Starscream. So just pull these sections here out to the sides. What we can then do is turn our attention to the head, fold down these sections here, and then you'll want to pull this section down, and this slot will in fact be housed via this tab, so also snap that there into place. We can then bring this entire region down. Now you can see that we do have a tab. This is in fact going to peg into this slot, so it is really just a matter of trying your best to get everything aligned up appropriately. So pull this section up and then just snap them into place, and then that will allow you to take this panel and just sit this flush along the front. Once that's then complete, we can bring the legs forwards and then take this section here, fold this up and repeat the same process. You'll then want to rotate here at the thigh and repeat the same process on this side. We can then take this region, fold this up and collapse this down, take the foot, fold this out, and now of course Bayformer Starscream had chicken legs, so I wouldn't recommend extending them here all the way, but just to give you that Michael Bay movie Starscream look by angling them here out to the back, and of course come here to this side and repeat the same process. So fold that up, of course fold the foot out and just extend it slightly, and this entire knee joint is in fact die cast, so once again adds to that very premium feel that you would now expect with Toyworld products. What I would then recommend doing is turning our attention here to these regions, so collapsing this here in upon itself and repeat the same process. We can then bring this down, bring this here to the front, and before we actually do this, you are in fact going to want to pull these pieces out. Now these are very stiff upon the first time of transforming him, but once you do get them dislodged, they do become a lot easier to manipulate throughout multiple transformations. So just fold them in like so. We can then bring these down, and then here I really love the engineering on this. You can see that we have a tab that is going to peg here into this slot, so just snap that section in there, and of course come here to this side and repeat the same process. Just snap that in there. We can then turn our attention here to this region, fold this up, which will then allow you to collapse this in, and you can see how the hand will pretty much auto-morph. Snap that into place and then fold up this panel and then just rotate here at the bicep, and there is one of Starscream's hands fully converted. Of course repeat the same process here, rotate at the bicep. You'll then want to bring this section around, fold this flap down, and of course this flap, and then just push the head all the way into this cavity, and there we have the Toyworld WW1 STARSCREAM fully transformed up into his really awesome looking robot mode. I mean, come on, wow, what a terrific job Toyworld once again have done here with World War I Starscream. It completely blows my mind that we got an incredibly accurate looking World War I fighter jet that transforms into the classic Michael Bay Dorito style of Starscream. They've done such a terrific job, and much like their barricade, this pretty much looks like the robot mode design from those Michael Bay movies, just with the exterior shell of a World World War I vehicle. Honestly, it looks really, really well done. As we take a look here at the head sculpt, you can see that once again is classic movieverse Starscream. I absolutely love the paintwork. The entire helmet has been completely painted in a really nice looking metallic silver, and we've of course got some metallic blue highlights there for the head. You can see for that chest component, superb looking paint as well as sculpt work, and the same can also be said here for this entire torso region. This has turned out so well with a mix of green, red, grey, as well as some almost copper highlights, and you can once again see, as mentioned, that Dorito Starscream design, even to the extent of actually having the back wings that movie Starscream does in fact have. As we take a look at him here from a bird's eye perspective, not many hollow spaces considering how many panels this figure is in fact formed out of, and this section is actually supposed to be tabbed into place. You can just see how solidified he is. None of the components are rattling around. I think they've done such a good job. The arms are in fact the wings, and these are so convincing. You can see the bicep detailing there as well as the fingers. Everything looks so awesome. And then even as we turn our attention here down to the lower section, you can see that we do have a standard flight stand port for you to peg on some of those Mayfex stands, and you can also see here the classic chicken-legged Michael Bay Starscream design with some exceptional looking detail as well as paintwork here on the side, and the same can also be said here for the interior of the leg. And as mentioned before, the figure does actually have quite a lot of die cast in him, such as here for where the elbows are, the knee joints, as well as some of the structural components here for the torso, and we of course also do get some die cast here for these sections at the top. As far as articulation is concerned, Starscream does have a swivel here at the head, as well as a hinge joint, which can of course look up to quite a good degree considering this is a character of whom can fly. We get ball joints here at the shoulders, which can rotate the full 360, as well as hinge out to the sides, rotation at the bicep. We do get roughly a 90-degree bend here at the elbow. The wrists are fully rotated on ball joints, and the fingers can also articulate in order to give you the impression that he is perhaps grasping. Unfortunately, due to the nature of the design, Starscream doesn't have any form of waist rotation, but that's something that no Michael Bay movie Starscream has ever actually had. Even the MPM figure from Hasbro didn't have a waist rotation, so I can't fault Toyworld on that too much. We do get hinge joints here at the hips, which can pivot forwards and backwards as well as out to the sides, rotation at the bicep, as well as a double range of motion here at the knee due to transformation. So once again, you can chicken leg him or fully extend them, and then here at the foot, these can pivot forwards and backwards, as well as of course rock side to side. So overall, a really good range of posability here for Starscream, especially considering how bulky that upper torso is. Now, as far as weapon integration is concerned, or should I just say accessories in general, we shall bring in the Blitzwing head sculpt. Now, in order to actually peg this on, it's very simplistic. You just pop the Starscream head clean off, and then we can just bring Blitzwing's head and snap this here into place. And there you've got Blitzwing's head fully encased onto the Starscream body. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this look, as the body design is of course movie Starscream, and with the Blitzwing head, it does look slightly unusual. But for those of you who perhaps want to have multiples of these on the shelf, especially if you are picking up both the blue and the black variant, I can definitely see as to why you would want some form of originality between some of the head sculpts. We can take the two machine guns that we saw in the plane mode and just attach these here onto the sides of the arms, which is something that movie Starscream does also have. We see this mainly in the forest battle when he's trying to gun down Sam Witwicky. And then of course we do in fact also get that larger machine gun, almost turret looking accessory, and in order to install this, you just pull this flap down, and it is merely just a matter of aligning the back of the palm here with the slots, sliding that in, snapping that into place, and you can see how it does give you the impression that it's formed out of Starscream's arm, which I think looks awesome. It is slightly loose in there, but if you get the other arm actually grasping it, as you probably would considering how large this weapon is, I don't think that it will look too bad at all. So just to give you an impression of how that looks here from a side perspective, you can see you've got Blitzwing in this case holding this weapon, and the paint too on that looks really cool. So definitely a good variety of accessories. Unfortunately, the display stand doesn't really play much of a role here in robot mode. It's mainly just for jet mode. I maybe would have liked to have seen them actually incorporate that display base into the bot mode, so you could have had him perhaps in a flying post, but nevertheless, he does look really cool. And then finally, of course, we do get the breather mask, which you can just attach over the top here of the Starscream head sculpt. So you can just see how that looks. I think it's a really cool look for the character. So definitely really impressed here with World War I Starscream. So here for a Toyworld World War I/World War II comparison, we have Starscream compared next to both Bumblebee and Barricade, and as far as robot mode is concerned, I think they scale really well. Vehicle mode, I'm not entirely sure, as of course I'm not a specialist in the World War vehicles, but for the robot mode, this definitely does look near enough spot on for me, at least what we got in the live action movies. And for a very quick Studio Series comparison, here we have Studio Series Blitzwing. Unfortunately, I don't actually know where my Studio Series Starscream is, but you can see that here World World War I Starscream is roughly Voyager class in height, although is a lot broader in the chest region than compared to Blitzwing, so once again it's just a heftier figure in general, and I think is more designed to actually scale with the Studio Series than the likes of the Masterpiece figures, despite them looking a lot better when compared to some of the Voyagers from Hasbro and Takara Tomy. So that was my review on the Toyworld Red Baron, also known as their movie series World War I Starscream / Blitzwing. Overall, I'm once again thoroughly impressed with what Toyworld have put out here. The quality is leaps and bounds better when compared to the Tactics waistcoat Knight Orion, and I'm actually quite confused as to why that figure turned out so bad, especially when Barricade and now of course Starscream have turned out so well. The World War I fighter jet looks absolutely incredible. I cannot fault it at all. Considering it actually transforms all of the robot mode pieces that are perhaps visible from the underside, I am easily able to forgive. I think they've done such a terrific job, and the engineering on some of these Toyworld products honestly is some of the best I've seen, not only from third-party companies but also from Hasbro and Takara Tomy themselves. They've done such a terrific job. The paintwork as well is one of the best that I've also seen for a third-party company. I think that both Toyworld and Devil Savior are the best, especially where paint is concerned, and this figure here is no exception at all. I was so glad to see that the transformation is a lot more simplistic, a lot more straightforward, and is a lot more enjoyable when in comparison to some of their previous figures, and it results in a very movieverse accurate looking Starscream. Of course, his exterior shell is a World War I jet and not the fighter jet that we get in the Michael Bay movies, so it is going to look slightly different, but the diagonal design to the chest, the overall Dorito design with the very broad upper torso, I think they've captured pretty much perfectly. The head sculpt looks as if though it's jumped straight out of the first trilogy of Bay films, and I think that the overall design just looks so well done, coupled with the fact that we get some exceptional surface detailing as well as paintwork and a decent variety of accessories, including an interchangeable Blitzwing head just to spice things up as far as the display is concerned. This guy really has turned out exceptional, and I cannot recommend him highly enough. I think that he may in fact be my favourite World War I figure from Toyworld so far, and I'm really looking forward to seeing as to how their upcoming World War I Jetfire does come out in the future, as this guy is honestly super cool. If you are looking to add him to the collection, as mentioned at the beginning of the video, I do believe that the red variant is out of stock, although there is a really cool black variant, and the blue version does also look quite cool, and of course you can also buy the triple pack which has both the red, blue and black version. So for that, of course, I shall include all of the necessary links down in the description box below, and be sure to use that discount code Prime vs Prime for a discount off of your total order. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do let me know down in the comment section below. Are you picking up any of these Toyworld movie series figures, and if so, what is your favourite so far, and shall you be adding Starscream here to your collection? I thank you all for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.